This is what's going on with modern women. Is they see things on the news, they watch Lifetime, and they see an isolated event, a very small microcosm of reality. And in their mind, that great irrational fear that they hold on to, is reality. It's going to happen all the time. Anyway. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you guys coming in here discussing fragrance with me as well. It's obviously a big passion of mine. But even bigger passion is discussing the current state of our culture, where we are at today. You know, I do a lot of talking about men on this channel. I talk to men. I tell you specifically what type of man to be, what your goals, your aspirations, what type of appearance you should operate from, how to get yourself better, how to cultivate yourself into the man that you desire. I call it becoming your best version of your best self. However, I also have to discuss women because men need to be educated on female nature. And I also do believe this, you know, a lot of people out there will sit there, you know, you'll see it in the reviews of my books. Women will call me a misogynist. Women will say that I hate women, all this other stuff. No. I don't hate women. I do not hate women. And I'm not going to give you the typical, I don't hate women. I actually love women. No. What I appreciate and what I respect is truth, justice, and optimization. With all of that, I understand the roles by which we were beset by nature, the rules of the universe, the rules of nature. I understand men's roles and I understand women's roles. I much more prefer, and society much prefers, women who fall into the traditional roles and enact and impart their natural femininity. What I can't stand and what I despise is modern women. I despise modern women. I despise what women have become. I want that to settle for a second. Because it's not that I hate women. I hate / despise that women have bought into this notion, this marketed notion to them that sells them decadence, that sells them undisciplined lifestyles, that sells them short-term gratification, all under the guise of happiness, strength, and progressiveness. I want you to understand that. Women have been duped. They've been marketed this stuff. And they've bought it hook, line, and sinker. Because this mindset, this subversion of the traditional roles of women were sold to women under a fear campaign via our school systems and our entertainment industry. Movies showing women that were just cooking and cleaning and they're being taken advantage of by their husband who went out and worked and succeeded in the workforce and all this other stuff. And she was just there home doing the dishes, doing the laundry, taking care of the house, and managing the children. And then the husband comes home, sits on a recliner, drinks his fucking drink and doesn't want to be fucking talked to. Right? And then all of a sudden it turns into an argument and he becomes abusive towards her. And he's ungrateful towards her. And this poor woman is sitting there and she's a slave. She's a slave to her husband. That's what women have been marketed is what a traditional woman is. And they've been marketed this revolt against that lifestyle, teaching them that it's slavery, it's disrespect, that it's the patriarchy and so forth. So the new age said, women, come into the workforce, get your degrees, become a CEO, get into politics, climb the corporate ladder, give your best to your boss. You're going to be far happier doing that. And at some point, if you really want to have children in your 30s after finding someone who will accept you, have children, and return right back to work. And this is a powerful woman. This is a happy woman. The other thing women were marketed was this. They were told to go out and get that bag, right? Get their money, set up their own accounts, because the worst thing that could ever happen is this. Your husband is going to take advantage of you, and he's going to trade you in for a younger model. This always happens. And you have no marketable skills, and he's going to leave you flat broke on your back with no money. So what you need to do is you need to also have an education. You need to have a marketable skill. You need to work for a company and corporation. You need to make your own money, because you can't be taken advantage of by men like that. And the fact of the matter is this, and the beauty of what's happening in this world today is this. We're seeing it happen more and more. We saw it in the domestic violence stuff that was lied to. We were marketed in the 90s, early 2000s, and even in the 80s that men were the abusers in the relationship, and it was all men. It was all men and no women. We were told that men were the ones that were trading in their wives for younger women and kicking the wives out so that they were desolate and in despair. And what we're seeing today is a completely inverted reality to what those messages were. Because what we are seeing instead is women leaving the marriages at 80% and men sticking around. What we're seeing instead is women who are making money and they're saving all their money, or they're parceling and taking money away and putting it and stacking it away for themselves, and never investing any of that money into the man or the family. What we're seeing instead is a judicial system that is now taking men's money, right? The house he bought, giving it to the woman. The children he made, giving it to the woman. Making a husband pay alimony and child support. So much so that now he could barely even afford, after all of those expenses, he can barely afford to live by himself in a studio apartment and pay for his food and such. I see this. I see this happen. I was in the military where, God, the divorce rate for those guys is insanely high. I spent 9 years in the military watching these men get chewed up through the court systems over and over and over again, to the point that most of these guys had to sleep on couches of their friends' houses in order to get by. Men were never the problem. Those are isolated cases. It's much like what we see today. And this is why women, modern women, this is what's going on with modern women, is they see things on the news, they watch Lifetime, and they see an isolated event, a very small microcosm of reality. And in their mind, that great irrational fear that they hold on to, is reality. It's going to happen all the time. The best case I can give you for this is an irrational fear. Let's understand an irrational fear really quickly. Okay? What is an irrational fear? Well, an irrational fear is something along the lines of this. People who won't go into the ocean. People who won't go swim in the ocean. Why? Tell me in the chat right now, please. Why won't people, most people, and I'm actually saying this towards most women. I say this to women all the time. Let's go for a swim in the ocean, right? When we go to the beach or whatever. No. Because there's blank. Give me the answer. Give me the answer. I feel like the chat's not moving at all. Maybe it's on my side. People won't go swim in the ocean because of sharks. Because they're afraid they're going to get attacked by sharks. And the fact of the matter is this. You are more likely to get struck by lightning twice in your life than you are to get attacked by a shark. Which makes not swimming in the ocean an irrational fear. Irrational. Irrational. You guys understand what I mean by this, right? The odds are so slim. But in her mind, it's rational to believe it. In her mind, it's rational to believe it. That fear of that happening to her is so real that it's more real than statistics. It's more real than reality, that emotion of fear. So what's happened? These women have been grown up watching MTV, Lifetime, all this other shit, going through these school systems where all these instructors are telling women about how the reality of the world is. Then they go to these universities and they're indoctrinated further with these theoretical ideas. They're theoretical. They do not meet up to the rationality of the statistics of what really happened in this world. And that's why I'm saying these modern women have been indoctrinated into this mindset via a fear campaign from entertainment, media, and these school systems to teach them that these irrational fears, these microcosms, are going to happen to them with men in relationships. When the reality is, what do we know about the statistics, currently? We know that men are leaving relationships far less than women today. That men are initiating divorce far less than women today. It was only ever maybe the top 5% of men, top 10% of men that had the ability and the resources to trade in their older wife for something better. Or they had the status somehow within their community or culture to be able to do that. It was only the top 10% of men, which means that the other 90% of men that were in these relationships were completely fine and completely happy holding on to their wife until death do us part, continuing in investing in her, investing into the household, investing into the children, and living into their twilight years with this individual. But modern women have been so taught to be scared of getting into these relationships and investing full force with these men who statistically are more likely to connect with, bond with, and stay with in a longer duration than women today.